Hola, bienvenidos a Hola Spanish. Soy Romina, tu profesora de español. In today's video, I would like to share with you guys a topic I discussed with our friend Jasmine on our YouTube channel. Vos is a personal pronoun. In English, it's translated as you. Some of you might already know a different version of you in Spanish, which is tú. So it's a singular personal pronoun. It means that we use it with only one person, when we are talking to only one person. Another thing about vos is that it's a personal pronoun that it's used in informal situations. What do I mean by that? I mean that we use it with people that we feel confident with friends and family. Maybe people that we just know, that we feel relaxed enough to just treat them informally. Okay, if we want to treat them formally, if we are in a formal context, let's say that we are talking to a police officer or an immigration agent or whatever, then in those cases we will be using usted. Okay, so vos, it doesn't replace usted most of the times. There are exceptions for sure, but most of the time it replaces tú and not usted. So they will use vos for informal situations as you talking to one person, and they will use usted in formal situations. There is no really a difference between vos and tú. They're both personal pronouns used for talking to one person. They're singular personal pronouns. There are some areas, though, where people most of the time use tú, and then for very informal sort of jokes, like naughty sort of jokes, they might use vos instead. So in those situations, then vos will be very informal in comparison with tú. But other countries such as Argentina, Uruguay, or Paraguay, the use of vos is very extended, and these people wouldn't use tú. So it's sort of a matter of preferences. Some areas decided, or countries as well, have decided to use tú, and others have decided to go for vos instead. Vos, maybe in the origin, was related to vosotros, because back in the day, maybe the 4th century after Christ, vos was a short version of vosotros, sort of, and it used to be used to refer to the emperor, who, although was one person, he was representing a bunch of people. It was representing the whole population. So although he was one man, he represented a lot of people, and therefore tú wasn't enough to refer to this person. They would call him as vos, like meaning you and the people that you represent. So maybe in that sense it is related to vosotros, but nowadays not really. They're completely different personal pronouns. Vos is used, as I said before, vos is used for the singular, while vosotros is used for plural. That means that we are talking to two or more people. I think that will depend on you. I think it will depend on why are you learning Spanish. If you're learning Spanish because you want to live and work in Argentina for 2 years, then in that case, of course, I would strongly recommend you to learn vos. But if you are just hoping to learn like sort of a neutral or a generic sort of Spanish, then I think it will be easier for you to focus in tú. That is only if you feel that you have to choose between these two. I think it's perfectly possible to learn both versions at the same time and use one more frequently than the other one, because you never know what's going to happen. You might change plans and visit Uruguay or Argentina, or you could meet someone from some areas in Colombia where they use vos instead, and you wouldn't have to struggle to relearn this whole thing again. You could just pick it up straight away. So again, it's completely up to you. There are no rules in that sense. Well, vos is very popular in Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay. These countries have become well known for the use of vos, but it's a little bit difficult to talk about countries, to be honest, because what happens is that sometimes certain areas within a country use vos, and maybe the rest of the country or the majority of the population decide to go for tú instead. So that's, for example, what happens in Spain. In the south of Spain, there are regions where they use vos instead of tú. There are regions in Colombia where they also use vos. Another places that I'm thinking of is Bolivia, regions in Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, some areas of Peru, Chile, and Venezuela as well. So I guess it depends who you meet. So the origin of vos, it's actually quite interesting. It started as I said before in this video, it started as a way to refer to the emperor as one person who represented many other men. I think what happened was that because they were talking to the emperor and he was a very important public figure and he represented power and he was a strong authority, a figure that you would look after. Vos was a personal pronoun that had a lot of prestige. So eventually with time it evolved to be something that you would use to refer to someone who was higher than you. So you would show respect by calling them vos instead of tú. And I think what happened was that this word evolved to show respect, and it wasn't only used to refer to people who were in a higher hierarchy than you, but also to refer to people that you felt a lot of respect for, or that maybe you wanted to get a favor from. So they will use vos instead of tú, right? To stroke their ego a little bit, I guess. And yeah, I think that's basically the evolution of vos. I think at some point I think the story goes that the superior people in the society started using it to refer to the inferiors as well, and at some point it just got generalized and popular, and I guess a large amount of population was using it instead of tú, and it became the rule in certain countries. Well, there are a couple of things to keep in mind when using the personal pronoun vos. Briefly here, I can tell you that when you're talking in the present tense, you have to keep in mind that the conjugation of the verbs will be different than tú. So we say tú trabajas, with vos is vos trabajas. Tú bebes, vos bebés. Tú vives, vos vivís. So as you can see, the pronunciation is a little bit different there as well. There are also changes in other tenses, particularly with the imperative. Obviously, this is too much of a big topic to talk about in this video. I will leave that for another time. But yes, you should definitely be aware that there are a few grammatical changes with vos. Also with the prepositions, I think that's important when we are talking about gustar. Remember, a mí me gusta el chocolate, a ti te gusta el chocolate. So what happens is that tú, it's irregular after the preposition a ti. It's not possible to say a tú. Well, with vos, that's not a problem. You can keep it just as it is. It's not irregular. You can just say a vos te gusta el chocolate. Same thing after the preposition para. You have to say para ti. It's not possible to say para tú, while with vos, you don't have to worry about it. You just keep it the same, para vos. Okay, this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Jasmine, thank you so much for your question. Muchísimas gracias. I thought it was very interesting to share it with all of you. If you have another questions, please let me know in the comments below. Did you like this video? Please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to get notifications when we uploading new videos. And I will see you next time. Muchas gracias. Adiós.